hard for children. You know, people like you. Like I said, you liberals are drunk with the idea of getting a piece of somebody else's pie. Drunkenness impedes judgment and causes one to ignore consequences. This is displayed by the fact that too many of you liberals are inconsiderate of where this money is coming from. This money is coming from the businesses who would give more jobs but can't because the government is taking too much money from them. That's more money that you can earn from a business, but instead you'd rather the government just give you a little bit of it, and that's how liberal Democrat officials keep
Give me a piece of change. Give me a piece of change.
Strip off the backs of businesses. This money also comes from being dependent on other countries that don't really like us, yet have invested in us to fortify their aristocracies and bolster their position in the world. There's a problem.
What's the problem?
We're losing the nation that had something to invest in. Our economy has been driven by manufacturing, agriculture, innovations, and services.
It's now in China.
Not so much anymore. Now our economy is being dragged by consumption. So wouldn't it stand to reason that when other countries see that we have lost our luster and usefulness, then the money will stop coming from them too? And of course the money is going to come from our children. But hey, you could do the morally superior act of having abortions to protect our children from our debts. Listen, the government are just people, and many people are in debt. And what do people do to try to solve their debt? They open up a new credit card and get deeper into debt. Then they go spending they don't have. The government is doing the exact same thing. Also, whose money will you spend more wisely? The money you worked hard for, or somebody else's money? You're gonna spend the money you worked for more wisely. Well, see, the government isn't spending the money they worked for. They're spending the money that you worked for, which is a big part of why they spend it carelessly. It ain't theirs. You Obama supporters are an affirmation of this. You keep telling us to give Obama a chance, the chance you never gave George Bush. You stuck your...
That's a lot right there, Danny. Tell me what the family thinks.
The brothers rapid fire.
Oh, boom, 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 boom. It's a lot. You cover a lot.
Leslie just showed up. Bronx BB just showed up, and she's like, "Politics sucks. Shirley rocks."
Thank you, family. But you know the key thing: politics affect all of our lives. As much as we don't like to deal with it, it's not one of our favorite subjects. It's not like let's talk about American Idol and Randy with that gold eyeshadow. I'm still standing behind. Y'all need to watch that brother. He's got gold eyeshadow. Next thing you know, he'll have 2 earrings if he doesn't already have 2. Like they got rid of that Jesus brother the other night. Jesus is gonna keep me here.
He just needs to come out the closet.
Okay. But what seriously, family, thank you so much for making positive comments. But any of them making comments on what we just said and what we just heard?
You know what? There was so much going back and forth and what have you, and I kind of lost the point. So please excuse me. But Mac in the chat room happened to agree with both of what you were saying. You know, and my response to Mac was, you know, open up the door and I'll get it myself. Circa James Brown, 1971, 2 or 3. So, and that's what I actually think that's what all of us agree upon. The Democrats and the Republicans, although sometimes you all seem to believe that we want a welfare system. No, that's not what Democrats are about. We don't even understand where you get that. We don't understand. What we are trying to tell all of you, sassy, is that the bottom line is a country that doesn't take care of its own is uncivilized. That's where we come from. Do you understand? If you're not taking care of your citizens, if you're not responsible for your citizens, just like you're asking for our support, I expect you to support us in an ideal, okay, in a way, in a lifestyle that we're all of us, none of us are left behind. You know, I was riding down the street with my daughter and Mario in the car the other day. When we were coming back, we had a wonderful dinner. Mario spent wonderful money on this beautiful dinner we had. But then we ride through a neighborhood, and this woman, homeless woman, was laying on the cold, and it was one of those cold nights, laying on the concrete, and he stopped at the light. Mario, I'm in the passenger side, and then it just hit me. I literally felt like crying. There was no card. This woman didn't even have cardboard. She didn't have a cardboard. And she had kind of like a sheet, like a real thin sheet that and she was just rolled up in a nice neighborhood, curled up. It wasn't like she fell, slipped, dead or anything. She was curled up by like a potted like a planter or something like that while I was at the light, and I just said, oh my God. These are reminders.
Sure.
That we're not.
Now, do you believe? Now, you felt compassion, obviously.
I did feel.
Now, do you believe that compassion should be legislated? Do you believe that you should be made to be compassionate?
I don't believe it's a point like that. I don't
But
look
it
at
is.
it. No.
That's exactly
no,
what
no,
it is.
that's your point.
No,
Alfonso.
that's exactly what
No,
it is. Because
not,
what you
Alfonso.
saw is not
Alfonso.
something that is a dominant instance in America. Go around the world where compassion is legislated, and it's far
No.
worse.
And like where, Alonzo? Seriously, like
Go
where?
if you go to Europe, if you go down to Cuba, where people risk their lives.
Have you been down to Cuba?
Do I
you-
have to go?
No, just so you
I
know.
mean,
Alonzo,
is that what's going to validate
I come
me?
from an immigrant people, and just so you know, their islands of Cape Verde and what have you, they don't have people living like that. I'm going to let you know. They don't have a system. That's
your take. Now somebody else will say this, but somebody would say the total opposite.
Nobody in third world countries like Cape Verde or Cuba, nobody really goes hungry. Because the people the people do take care of themselves, and they do have universal health care.
Sure
they do
they do.
have that. They don't have, there isn't a thing where you're going to see somebody rolled up.
Now, like I said, you can tell me that, and somebody else who come from the same place will tell me 180 degrees the opposite. But
Well,
but it's
Haiti
not
and
their
different
word. But I'm not
places,
going to
there
take
are
their word,
places like that.
and I'm not
I
going to
get
take their
that.
word for it either. But what I will see is that if we have immigration, if we have a legal immigration problem, that means where people are trying to risk their lives to leave their countries to come here, that speaks volumes to me right there. And one of the reasons why our economy is affected the way that it is because of all these unaccounted people.
I don't happen to agree with you because now you're going off and you're being unreasonable. I'm talking about, obviously this person was an American. The fact that this person was rolled up on the ground. I don't
Yes,
want to put,
and it's
I don't wanna-
heartbreaking.
listen,
It is.
I don't want to put politics in something like that. If we're supposed to be a Christian nation, we take care of ourselves. We're more civilized
And
than
you're
allowing
absolutely
somebody to
right.
roll
You're
up
absolutely
on a
right. But that
curbstone
compassion,
at a light
should that
and have
compassion
to
be
ride by
legislated
and
is what I'm
step
asking
over
you.
and not
What I'm
deal with
asking
it.
you is it should be
Well, I
compassion
don't
be
agree with you.
legislated.
I don't agree with you on that. I don't even agree with that in that line of
So
questioning.
now with that person laying down the street, what did you do about it?
I rolled right
And
by.
what would be
You
best
rolled right
for
by.
I
you?
rolled right by. I
So
sure
why
did.
didn't you take her in? You could
I
have.
couldn't do that.
Why
couldn't
not?
do that. That's not my place. That's
It's-
not my place to do that.
So whose place is it?
I think it's our government and it's the people's place to go ahead and deal with.
So if you're saying
that
it's the
type of
government's
that.
place to do that, so the government should come and charge you to take that person into your home.
You know what? Actually, to be honest with you, Alonzo,
You're waiting for the government to come in and tell you that you have to take that person into your home.
But they tax me and I still pay for it.
Yeah, but the thing is that with the war, whether you like it or not, is still in your best interest. Because one, it's the government's job to protect the American people, not to provide for the American people. That's the difference. That's the thing that people don't seem to understand. That's the big difference.
I don't. Yeah, that's
Of
pretty
course
sick. That's pretty sick.
How is that sick?
That's sick.
How is
So
that
you'd rather war than take care of your own people. I think that's pretty sick.
Kind of need to be alive
Enough
to
said.
take care of your own.
Well,
Enough said.
But let me ask,
Okay, let me be the leftist. Let me be the leftist. I'm not
That's
disagreeing with some things. In other words, the role of government. See, this has to do with redefining the role of government. The role of people is to provide for themselves. The role of government, that's not the role of government really to do that. On the other hand, I think it's the role of government to step in to act in the best interest of the American people when it comes to protecting them, say from the corporate interests that act as a group that organize themselves to act to your detriment. Now, again, this is what Shirley's called a socialistic principle. But I'm going like, if we allow the say government doesn't do like you said, it's not our goal to provide, but to provide the leadership, the structure. People are supposed to provide for themselves. The issue that I take to with Danny is that having to know that a lot of those people, even given that graciousness, would choose to be on the street. The part that people don't understand is the families need to be cared for, but you have a lot of people out there with psychological disease, okay? So I'm not sure, Danny, I'm not sure that it is the government. On the other hand, I think the government should not allow corporations to rape us and take all the money, and then I still think that how about this? Because see, even as the radical